This is the equator. After Earth resets itself. 2.4 billion years ago. Oceans froze. Sea levels fell hundreds of feet. How did this happen? This film follows those frozen chapters and the forms of life shaped by them, as the planet repeatedly changed the conditions for survival. We'll see what lived beneath frozen oceans, what vanished when shallow seas drained away, and how repeated instability favored life that could adapt quickly. Sometimes Earth is temperate. Then it isn't. And life adjusts to a colder reality. Before the Huronian Ice Age, Earth is a muted alien world. Vast oceans are alive with microbes beneath hazy, oxygen-poor skies. It is barely recognizable as the planet we know today. These organisms release oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. That oxygen reacts with methane, Earth's primary greenhouse gas, weakening the atmosphere's ability to retain heat. Temperatures fall. Glaciers spread across ancient continents. The oceans likely freeze extensively, perhaps almost entirely. How much life is lost is difficult to measure. There are no animals, no shells, no bones. But chemical signals in ancient rocks suggest a profound biological collapse. Life retreats to the few places where conditions remain tolerable. Deep oceans insulated from the cold, and regions near volcanic heat, where liquid water persists. When the ice finally recedes, the planet is transformed. The shallow seas, once crowded with microbial life, are largely empty. But soon after, the fossil record changed. Eukaryotic cells with nuclei and internal structure. Without that specific adaptation, complex life wouldn't have evolved. Hundreds of millions of years later, Earth became a snowball again. Continents had drifted into the tropics, and fresh rock stripped CO2 from the air. Ice began reflecting sunlight back into space, until the cold fed on itself, and Earth froze nearly solid. Life was still new. Had the conditions been slightly worse, nothing would have survived. But the ice is not uniform. In places, it thins. In others, it cracks. Light reaches the water below. The oceans now contain algae, protists, and the first simple multicellular organisms. Algae continue photosynthesis, supporting small, isolated ecosystems under the ice. When volcanic gases slowly rebuild atmospheric heat, the thaw arrives abruptly. Ice collapses. Meltwater floods the oceans with nutrients. And under these new conditions, the fossil record changes. large, soft-bodied multicellular organisms appear. The first life forms visible at human scale. By the late Ordovician, 450 million years ago, life had flourished. Most species live in shallow continental seas, where sunlight, nutrients, and stable conditions support complex ecosystems. Reefs expand. Trilobites crawl across the seafloor. Brachiopods and crinoids filter the water. Early jawless fish move through clear, sunlit seas. As the supercontinent Gondwana drifts across the South Pole, ice sheets expand across what are now Africa, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. Sea levels fall as water locks into ice. Shallow seas drain away. For organisms adapted to these environments, there is nowhere to go. Nearly 85% of marine species disappear. When the ice retreats, fresh meltwater floods the oceans, disrupting circulation. Cold, oxygen-poor deep waters spread into once habitable regions. Life must both endure the cold and survive the violent thaw. Habitats return, but degraded. Recovery begins, but the oceans rebuild differently, with species adapted to colder, more unstable conditions. And from its survivors rose vascular plants, and the slow advance of life onto land. The Silurian world was foundational. Without it, complex life on land and much of what followed in the oceans would likely not exist in the form we know today. Around 300 million years ago, Earth enters the late Paleozoic Ice Age. But this one unfolds slowly. For nearly 100 million years, ice sheets advance and retreat across southern Gondwana. This constant change does not spare life. It tests it. And near the equator, life answers by becoming tougher. Vast forests spread across the land. Towering club mosses, ferns, and early trees dominate wetlands. Plants spread across land before fungi evolved to recycle them. Plant burial reduces CO2 and drives oxygen levels higher than at almost any other time in Earth's history. Insects grow enormous. Amphibians thrive in humid environments. But even though the entire Earth didn't freeze, the climate never settles. Sea levels rise and fall again and again. Habitats fragment, reconnect, and fragment once more. Each advance and retreat builds pressure in the system. When it releases, ecosystems fracture. Not everything endures the strain. Reptiles, less dependent on water and better adapted to dry conditions, begin to replace amphibians. Harsh conditions from the Ice Age made room in the ecosystem for evolution to adapt. Dinosaurs rose, ruled, and vanished before the next Ice Age started. When the age of reptiles ended, the world did not settle. For millions of years, small mammals had lived in the shadows, nocturnal, warm-blooded, built for endurance rather than dominance. In a colder, more unstable world, those traits mattered. Mammals diversified into grazers and hunters, filling spaces left behind by older life. By 2.6 million years ago, falling carbon dioxide, shifting continents, and reorganized oceans pushed Earth past a tipping point, allowing ice to persist year after year. This was the beginning of the Quaternary Ice Age, the one we still live in today. Ice sheets advance and retreat across much of the northern hemisphere. Sea levels fall by more than 120 meters. The mammoth steppe teemed with life, herds of bison and horses, towering woolly rhinos, saber-toothed cats, and the first humans moved along the ice edge. Fire becomes essential for warmth, cooking, protection, and shared social life. Neanderthals master survival in Ice Age Europe. They hunt large animals at close range. They make strong, efficient stone tools. Their bodies are adapted to cold environments. But as climates become increasingly unstable, another human lineage spreads. Homo sapiens bring different strategies. They sew tailored clothing using bone needles. They rely on long-distance projectile weapons rather than close combat. Perhaps most importantly, they share knowledge over wide social networks, trading value with each other using collectibles. Techniques, tools, and stories move faster than genes. Homo sapiens adapt culturally and technologically. When environments change rapidly, this flexibility matters. As the ice retreats for the last time, ecosystems rearrange themselves. Large animals disappear. Neanderthals vanish. Across Earth's history, ice has reshaped life again and again. Each freeze simplified the world. Each thaw favored what could adapt. Human civilization emerged during a rare calm, the Holocene, a brief pause in Earth's long instability. That pause is ending. For the first time ever, a single species is driving rapid climate change, releasing carbon buried deep in the crust millions of years ago. The ice ages reveal a simple pattern. When change accelerates, the planet responds violently. Species die. Life continues. But the world that follows is never the same as the one that came before.